There are different versions of the story, but it still is a good story. There was a Jewish girl, and I guess this must have been in the 60s, and she, as so many other people in America, especially in the 60s, they got infatuated by the Far East, by the meditations and things like that. And a lot of them they took drugs and things like that, and then they said, well, drugs are not good. We'll simulate this out of world experience naturally, and so they got hooked up with all these weird guru and what is it, cults and things like that, and religions in the East, in the Far East. So this girl got that. That's how I understand the story. Anyway, so this girl, she she somehow or other got involved in this cult. Either it was in the Far East in India, or it was a branch of it somewhere in the forests of of America somewhere. And she got involved in this thing, and with meditations and the fasting and all sorts of rituals and things like that. And her leader was said she's very promising and she really caught on very well, and that she was going to become a priestess, and there was supposed to be a ceremony. There was going to be a ceremony. I think this is actually, it was in India. It was supposed to be a ceremony, and according to the ceremony, she would like fast for days, and she would make this special prayers and special meditations and think of these different forms and mantras and things like that. And then they would go up to the top of this sort of big hill, or very mountainous place, and there they would do the final thing, and she would be initiated. So she was preparing for herself, preparing, but it happened in the middle that one of her parents, I think, passed away or became very ill, and she had to go home. She would call home like once a month or something to keep it. So she found out that her mother was sick or whatever, so she went back home. She went back home, and the family lived in America, New York, whatever city it was. And it happened to be that she had a brother, or a good friend, I think a brother, that was he started to become involved in Chabad. He was also not religious, but he became involved in Chabad. And he really liked it. He liked the ideas. So his sister, she already had her plane ticket to go back like the next day or something, in a couple of days. But her brother convinced her to come to a lecture of one of the rabbis in the Chabad house. So she didn't have anything better to do anyway. And the brother was sort of grasping at straws, to try to get his sister out of the clutches of this cult. But he wasn't having much success at all. Wasn't I mean, she, in her mind, she was already there. She was going to become a priestess or a high priestess, whatever it is. And then, by the way, once she became a priestess, she wasn't going to call back home anymore. That was it. She just became one with the ultimate oneness of or whatever it is. So she goes with her brother to this class, and the teacher happens to be in the class that he's talking about the commandment in the Torah of returning lost items. That you have to return lost items. So she says to the rabbi, what is this thing of returning lost items? People are not supposed to desire anything. Of course, it's an obvious thing, right? It's an obvious thing. People aren't supposed to have possessions. Possessions are bad, right? What's this obsession with possessions? You have your possessions and my possessions. There's no possessions. The spirit owns everything. So the rabbi had absolutely no success in convincing her, otherwise, because she was already convinced, of the ideal situation is everyone is just going to live like the birds or whatever, and they're just the powers will free, you give yourself over to, or whatever it is, he'll feed you. Anyway, so she had no success. So that was it. She was really very disgusted with this rabbi, this mundane, the crass rabbi talking about money and things like that. And she got on the plane. She went back. So she went back to this, and sure enough, she went back. She had her preparations for the big day. She was going to have her inauguration, and she was going to be crowned as the princess, the priestess. And they were going up the mountainside, and chanting this chant as they went up. Boom, 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 the chanting, and they're going up. And all of a sudden, she happened to notice. It's a pretty weird story. she noticed a wallet on the ground in front of her. And she figured she'll pick up the wallet. Somebody must have lost their wallet, just an automatic, thing. But the leader, the big guru, he saw the wallet. He picked up the wallet and he took the money out of the wallet and threw the wallet away. So she went to him and said, great holy majesty, your highness, or whatever it is, that could have money, it could have belonged to somebody, that's not enlightened like we are. Maybe we should have given it back. So the guru said, the powers have invited this riches into my hands. This is the karma, this is the dharma, this is the pharma, this is whatever it is, and this is the spirit and the what is it, the resonations and the whatever it is. And he explained it to her that this obviously is supposed to be in my pocket. So she said, what's going on over here? I thought we didn't want anything to money. Says, we do not have anything to do with money. We do not have anything. But if the powers have put it into our hands, as we must use it accordingly. So she said, something's wrong over here. This didn't exactly work out the way I thought it would work out. So she gets up to the top and she says, listen, maybe I'll become the priestess of the universe tomorrow, something like that. I want to think about this. So she went back down, packed up her bags, and bought a ticket and went back home. She went back home. But suddenly she realized that with her whole idea that this world didn't exactly fit into the whole picture of what's going on. According to her way of understanding, the world just have to ignore it totally. According to Judaism, is you have to use the world according to the way God wants. And this, she realized that her guru had was fooling her himself, and she was fooling everybody. He just had good excuses to make, and she didn't want a religion of excuses. Therefore, we can learn from the story what we just learned in the Dvar Malchut, that this world is very important to God, and that's why when he gave the Torah, the 10 Commandments were repeated twice. First of all, in this week's Torah portion, and then Moses repeated it to the Jewish people right before they went into the land of Israel to actually use the 10 Commandments. Then the commandments are, how do you say, user-friendly 10 Commandments. They give us the power to change the world and to not fool ourselves. Have a good day with Mashiach now. See you all tomorrow at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Today I just had somewhere to go, and therefore we had our early classes.